Well, good evening. I hope that your Thursdays have been good, that you have found moments of hope and even joy in your day. As lots of you who already know me know, one of my favourite things to do when I get to talk to other people is to tell stories. Good biblical precedent, I think. Jesus was, in my opinion, the greatest storyteller that there ever was. And he very often told a story and then just left people to make of it what they would. There might be a deeper meaning for those who chose to see it, but on the surface, it would be a good story as well. So tonight, I'm just going to tell you a story. Here we go. The sea sparkled blue and bright in the sunlight. The beach glittered silver. And behind the beach was the village. A village of some 200 or so people, mums and dads, boys and girls, aunts and uncles, grannies and grandpas, and babies, all living together in harmony. Behind the village, the mountainside rose in steps as the terraces where the rice grew made a stairway up to the plateau. And on the plateau lived the lord of the island, an old man named Hamaguchi, who lived in the house on the plateau with his young grandson, a boy of about 10 years. Hamaguchi loved the village and its people. One evening, Hamaguchi stood outside his house and looked down the terraced steps towards the village. The terraces were full of rice, which were ready to be harvested. In fact, the following day the harvest would begin. But tonight, before the start of harvest, there was celebration in the village because the harvest would be good. As Hamaguchi looked down the terraces towards the village, he could see bright lights. He could hear the sounds of music and singing, and he knew that there would be dancing in the village as well. He smiled to himself. It gave him a warm feeling in his heart to think of his people celebrating. Hamaguchi's gaze lifted from the village, and he gazed out across the beach and beyond to the sea. And as he looked at the sea, the expression on his face changed as he saw something that he had never seen before. He'd heard about it from his father and his grandfather, but he'd never before seen it for himself. As he gazed out as far as the eye could see, from one side of the horizon to the other was a white line. He knew what that meant. It was a big wave. Hamaguchi knew that he had to do something. He looked at the distance between him and the village and knew that he could not get there in time to warn them. And so he called to his young grandson, "Quick, bring me one of the burning torches from the front of the house. Come on, do it now." Well, without hesitating, the boy took one of the burning branches from the front of the house and brought it to his grandfather. The old man took the burning branch, hobbled to one side of the plateau, and held the flames to the field of rice. The rice was dry and ready for harvesting, and so it didn't take very long before the field disappeared in flames and smoke. Hamaguchi looked down the hill towards the village. No one had noticed what was going on the plateau. He could still see the bright lights and hear the sounds of music and celebration. He took the burning torch to the other side of the plateau. His grandson cried out to him, "What are you doing?" as his grandfather put the flaming torch to another field of ready, ripe rice. Again, it wasn't long before the field disappeared under a burning sheet of flame. Hamaguchi hobbled back to the middle of the plateau and looked down at the village. Still the celebration continued. The old man moved as if to set fire to the final field of rice. "No, grandfather, what are you doing?" shouted his grandson. "We will have nothing left." Hamaguchi looked down towards the village once more, and put the flaming torch to the last field of rice. He and his grandson watched in silence as flames and sparks of silver, gold, and orange shot into the air. At that moment, they heard the alarm bell ringing in the village below, and every soul in the village, the mums and dads, the boys and girls carrying the babies, the aunts, the uncles, the grandmas, and the grandpas, all grabbed buckets of water and streamed up the hill towards the plateau to try to save the harvest. Just as they arrived at the plateau, there was a sound like 100 cannon all going off at once. Everyone turned to look at the beach. The wave hit the beach, and they watched. As the wave streamed back into the sea, it left nothing behind it. Every house, every shop, every building in the village had gone. There was nothing left. Everybody turned back towards the plateau, ready to throw their buckets of water onto the flames. But there was nothing left there either. All the rice had burnt, and there was just smouldering ash in front of them. There was silence. And then Hamaguchi's grandson asked the question that everybody wanted to speak out. "Why did you burn the rice, grandfather? Now we have nothing left." Hamaguchi looked at all the eyes that were staring at him. "Do you still not understand?" he said. "As precious as the rice crop was, each one of you is infinitely more precious." Then he invited everybody to come and live in his house on the plateau with him until the village could be rebuilt. A few years later, Hamaguchi, a very old man, died, and the villagers put up a shrine to him, which simply said, "The Lord of the island, the one who gave everything that he had for his people." I'm going to leave that story with you for you to make of what you wish. See you all tomorrow. Bye.